April 7th, 1943, Henderson Field, Guadalcanal. The metallic click of a fuel hose disconnecting marked the beginning of a day that would transform Second Lieutenant James Elms Sweat from an unknown working man into an American legend. A former machinist from San Francisco, Sweat had grown up immersed in gears, valves, and turbines under the guidance of his engineer father. Flying had come naturally to him. The same mechanical instincts that once tuned engines now guided him through the skies. After joining the Marine Corps in 1941 and completing rigorous flight training, Sweat found himself assigned to VMF 221, operating from the battered airstrip of Henderson Field, a muddy, makeshift runway that symbolized America's resolve in the Pacific. That April afternoon, a chilling radio call shattered the routine. Condition red. Condition very red. 150 Japanese aircraft were inbound, the largest raid since Pearl Harbor. Sweat, refueling from a routine patrol, barely had time to react. "Launch everything!" came the command. Fuel hoses ripped from his Wildcat's wings as mechanics waved him to take off. Within minutes, 76 Allied fighters scrambled skyward to face nearly twice their number. Sweat's Grumman F-4F Wildcat, slower and less agile than the Japanese Zero, was already outdated, but in skilled hands it was a deadly, durable machine. He fought the aircraft into the air, manually cranking the landing gear with aching arms as the Pratt & Whitney engine roared beneath him. Climbing painfully at less than 2,000 feet per minute, he and his flight struggled for altitude while dark specks appeared in the northern sky. Dozens, then hundreds, Yamamoto's air armada closing in. Bandits 12 o'clock high. Sweat radioed calmly. Moments later, the sky erupted into chaos. Sweat dove into the swarm, his guns chattering as 650 caliber Brownings unleashed 1,400 rounds of fury. His first burst tore through a formation of VALs, Japanese dive bombers laden with 1,000-pound bombs. One exploded instantly, another spiraled into the sea. A third burst into flames mid-air. Within 90 seconds, Sweat had downed 3 bombers. His first kills, on his first combat mission. Alone amid the melee, he climbed again into the maelstrom, weaving between tracer fire and anti-aircraft bursts from friendly ships below. A shell detonated near his left wing, shredding fabric and twisting his aileron, yet Sweat pressed on. Ahead, 6 more VALs bore down on American ships. He dove again, methodically cutting through their formation. 1, 2, 3, 4, until smoke and wreckage filled the sky. 7 enemy aircraft fell within 15 minutes. His guns finally clicked empty. Out of ammunition, Sweat still refused to disengage. He charged a final bomber, trying to force it off course with sheer aggression. The VAL's rear gunner answered with bullets that shattered Sweat's windscreen, slicing his face and striking his engine. Oil sprayed across his canopy as the engine coughed and died. 15 miles from base, bleeding and half-blind, he trimmed his crippled Wildcat into a glide. The propeller froze. With seconds to spare, Sweat ditched near Florida Island, his nose smashing into the instrument panel on impact. The fighter sank fast. Trapped underwater, tangled in his parachute harness, he fought to free himself as blackness closed in. At the last moment, his life vest inflated, and he rocketed to the surface, gasping for air, blood mixing with seawater. Minutes later, a Coast Guard rescue boat found him amid the floating wreckage. At Guadalcanal's field hospital, doctors stitched his wounds and reset his broken nose. Witnesses confirmed his astonishing feat. 7 enemy aircraft destroyed on his first mission, making him an ace in a single day. Admiral Mark Mitcher nominated him for the Medal of Honor. Sweat recovered, returned to his squadron, and continued flying, now in the advanced F-4U Corsair. Over the next months, he downed more Japanese bombers and fighters across the Solomon Islands, surviving yet another ditching and being rescued by Solomon Islanders allied with Australian coast watchers. By the end of 1943, Sweat had flown 103 combat missions and achieved 15 confirmed victories. General Ralph J. Mitchell presented him the Medal of Honor, honoring his unmatched courage under fire. When he met President Roosevelt in 1944, the president was captivated by his modesty and technical insights. Speaking with him far longer than scheduled, after the war, Sweat commanded squadrons and trained new pilots, though the Navy refused to risk Medal of Honor recipients in Korea. Frustrated but undeterred, he retired as a colonel after 29 years of service, returning to the marine turbine business his father had founded. The calluses returned to his hands as he resumed the life of an engineer. He led the company with quiet discipline for decades before retiring to Northern California, where he spoke to students about teamwork, integrity, and preparation, never glory. When the History Channel recreated his April 7th mission in 2006, the calm, elderly man narrating his story seemed almost unrecognizable compared to the explosive computer-rendered battle. Yet that calm defined him. Colonel James Elms Sweat passed away in 2009 at the age of 88. He was buried with full military honors, a Marine Honor Guard, a 21-gun salute, and a fighter flyover marking his final ascent. His story endures not just as that of a war hero, but as a reminder that ordinary Americans, when trained, trusted, and tested, could achieve the impossible. And that courage, discipline, and quiet resolve can change the course of history in just 15 minutes.